So with the platform, is the plan to have discoverability on the platform itself, or is the idea to sort of just use it as the streaming platform and then people just go about their day? Like, is the idea to keep people on the platform? Like, you go on Twitch, you might go from stream to stream to stream, whereas on something more like a Floatplane, for example, the idea is you're going directly to that creator's page, and that's the reason why you've come here.
It could be a
Both,
mix.
really.
Yeah.
Because in the future we're gonna have like art and like music, definitely, because that's a big thing. I
Well,
don't
no, I'm
want
not
people to
doing
go off the
DRMs.
platform to watch a video, but
I'm not implementing
um,
the DRMs on the stream segments either, because that's a bit of a nightmare in itself, because there is pretty much no solutions out of the box just to have it working that you can just slap on top without having a lot of pain. And of course, you've got the stupid Spotify thing where if you try and use open.spotify.com on a phone, it just immediately kicks you off it. So, and as we all know, the Spotify app is horrible. You can't even pick the song if you don't have a subscription.
Wait, I'm sorry. How do we get to Spotify here? I don't see the connection that we.
Just the DRM thing. It's
Oh,
just
sorry.
to
Okay, yep.
avoid those problems that you like Spotify and stuff has. So there might be DRMs for music and stuff, obviously, but as I was saying, for streams themselves or like VODs, probably not, because you'll just have all those problems, and it's not an enjoyable experience either.
Well, maybe.
So
Like,
sorry if I
no, sorry.
I digress. So sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. If any direction you want to go down with this, totally fine. We can talk about anything with the platform. I'm not too worried which route we go.
I mean, one thing we talk about is like the privacy aspect, because that's a big thing. Um, on the front end, there's like no data collection unless you sign up. Like we have to collect we have to collect IP addresses
Sure,
because
sure.
we use the CSIM detector.
Right.
So that
Well,
to
if you
protect
connect to a
me
server,
from
by nature, the server is going to see your IP address. Like, this is.
Yeah.
It's a
The
concern
default
people
behavior
have, but
is to
like,
log it.
yeah, it's the login that's the issue.
It's just to keep me out of jail in case someone uploads something that they're not supposed to.
Right.
Um, the only things that people could be worried about is Vercel, but that's not that's not in my control.
That's the
do
same
that
situation as using Cloudflare. You know, it's a bit of a like black box solution, so you honestly don't know much what's going on there. So as the person that owns the platform and you use a service like Vercel or Cloudflare, there's the expectation that those services might be collecting user data that you're not aware of.
But besides that, there's like no data being collected. Each login has its own session, so for privacy, it's all, I wouldn't say encrypted, but it's encoded. The token looks kind of like Discord's in a way.
The VStream tokens look a lot more like Discord. In fact, I'll give you an example one. In fact, when I sent it on Discord as an example, Discord flagged it as a Discord token. So that should show you how similar it is.
So the tokens are 64-bit. They're base 64 encoded 3 times on each. So take three decode attempts. It's time oriented. On my website, there's like a thing for you to make a token. I named it Helix because I was bored and I was playing a Helix game. But tokens look kind of like Discords.
Yeah.
That one didn't flag, but
yeah, that I can definitely see that.
This one Yeah, I just got the message now. This contains a Discord authentication token, which it does not. So I can share this because it's just a test one.
Right.
The servers are flagged as test as well, so if you try and pretend to be them, it's all local IPs, so it won't work anyway.
Sure.
So mine are more like Discord. There's virtually no data stored in the tokens themselves. It's basically a lookup. As for the Helix tokens, they do contain data as base 64.
Yeah, so that's like the user ID, general things like that. The IP is not included. That's a no for me. But it's version and data, and then just some random numbers, and then an HMAC. So it's pretty much like Discord. So it wouldn't be that easy to crack. Granted, there's a tool, but
I originally did want to use Bcrypt for verifying the tokens and stuff like that, but as you know, it's a blowfish encryption, so its whole entire point is to bloat the hardware. So I noticed under high load, it just crapped itself. So that's why I went to the HMAC instead, which I don't really like because you have to store the plain text token in the database, and there's nothing you can really do to avoid that. So I'm just going to have to put up with that.
So, whenever we talk about any user data, the conversation of GDPR and CCPA compliance always comes up. And you mentioned you're not storing user data, but like, is this a concern in any way? Like, is there anything here that could possibly trip you up?
Probably the stream stuff, being aggressive with trying to avoid the anti-scraper. But usually it's not tied to a specific user. It's tied to an IP address or something like the signature of the user agent, just something like that. But if it does tie it back to a user, then that would warrant a flag to show that that user is potentially trying to abuse stuff they're not supposed to touch. So there is that concern of that. But other than that, I don't necessarily see anything else that could be a problem.
Yeah, and with the database, there's one password, and you have to be on a certain IP address to even access that database. So for security, it's pretty tight.
And as I mentioned with the stream keys, sorry for the interruption, but even with the stream keys, even though the API should not be publicly accessed, it does everything it can to avoid exposing the stream key ever. So if I go back to my main server, there is even caching it. It does not. The first thing it does is it deletes the key after it comes back from the database. So it deletes it from its own memory. It doesn't delete it from the database. And that stops any response bodies. It stops any URLs. It's just the only place the stream key is ever used, basically, is to when the person starts streaming. So, and basic to abuse that, you'd have to be man in the middle and stuff like that, which is more complicated when you consider VTubers, because they're not necessarily going to be streaming on a public network in a cafe.
Right.
So, it's somewhere. There it is. I'll copy the link for that.
Okay.
If you see there, the first thing it does is it deletes the... so dot key is the stream key.
Right, yes. Deletes the key. I see.